King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no I in team, let the winning commence. From generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates, after racks. But really trying to get some wins, not just padding stats. Two basketball lovers through happenstance. Built a bond that led to greatness that advanced.
Yes, sir.
Just so disrespectful for you to say something like that.
We heard y'all.
Listen,
we heard y'all.
They bridging the gap. They bridging the gap. Listen, they bridging the gap. They bridging the gap. They
BTG Nation, BTG Nation, BTG Nation. We are back, and because we're back and it's the New Year's, let's give ourselves a round of applause. We made it into 2024. Happy, healthy, ready to go. Slightly a bit, just a little bit, tiny bit, rejuvenated. Got a little bit of energy here. Got a little bit. Hey, Snipes, put the latest games on for here. So just hit the back button and go to it. But yeah, man, BTG Nation, you know what it is. Young OG, triple OG. Sometimes when we have the other triple OGs, he's just a double OG because you guys know we got a nice little network. But we're here, we're live and direct from Dubai again. Hoop Mountain Dubai, Hoop Mountain DXB, Hoop Mountain.ae. That's our energy, that's our love child. We're getting it in out here. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing. OG, let's start with a little Hoop Mountain update before we get into the mix and get rocking. What's it looking like at the top of the 2024 year?
Well, you keep saying that we're growing, and that's evident by how busy we are.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? We just started last week, and it seems like it seems like we've been going 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, it seems like. But everything's going, in the direction that we wanted to go, and it's super busy. Kids and parents are excited, and hey, man, we just got to maintain everything.
Yeah, and let me shoot Coach some bail, because I know some people have been saying Coach been on the phone a lot every time they look on the episode.
That's my boy. I addressed him directly.
yeah. And so, hey, it's nice. Pay attention. So the thing is that when we get in here, the phones is never off because there's always something. And Coach King does all of the customer service correspondence with the new people and the returners. And if you work in the business, especially with youth, you know how you got to do a lot of explaining multiple times because there's a few things get lost in translation on top of the new people that get handed here.
But look, since you talking about that, that's not even all of it.
But I didn't want to get all of it.
Yeah, like people don't understand, that people that commented, I'm dealing with other coaches, other academies, facility managers, principals, a lot of stuff. It never stops because, we run a business.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, man, BTG Nation, this is a fun one though. We got some shit for y'all today. Man, they gave us, we took a nice break because just to keep a record straight, we haven't recorded since December 13th. And so since then, you had Kat and Shannon Sharp and you had all of that. We ain't gonna be able to get to all that, all the basketball stuff. So we just gonna get to what we can. We're gonna respond to some comments too as well. But you guys know we got to get some energy in this thing, right? And so we ended the year nice. We had 4 straight bangers. We had some things. The parents was like, "Yeah, y'all bringing some energy." I want to bring us back to an era that both Coach generation and my generation appreciates. And just for you people out there that don't know, I'm not old. I'm only 30. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to turn. In fact, I turn 32 next month. Yeah. Leap year boy. So I got a vibe for y'all today. OG, you gonna love this one. I ain't even gonna say too much. We got a new drop. DJ Lee Bueller. Here it is with the mix. A good morning, America. You be in the car, you going off, you're like, yo, this is hard. And the person over there just like, do you understand what's going on here? Like, this was back to back to back. That might have been like 11 minutes of just not a wasted bar.
That's just wordplay. Boom, 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 boom. Like,
engineering, like
crazy.
production, like everything. Like
that was crazy.
Like we could play that and be sitting in a room with somebody, and that's how you know too. Like there's levels to taste, there's levels to understanding. Like everybody ain't supposed to get, because I could be sitting in a room with somebody else and we could be listening to that, and they might not even move. They wouldn't even be able to catch it, right?
Yeah, if you listen to those two just now and you don't scrunch your face up once,
yeah, we ain't supposed to be in the same place.
You ain't hear it. You ain't understand what they were saying.
Yeah, we ain't supposed to be in the same place. It's different. It's time and place. I'm supposed to meet you somewhere, like coffee or something. Like it's a little different. So man, but that's how we set the tone, right? That's how we set the tone.
That's a great way to start the year.
Yeah, and so there's some topics we got to get into, and so before we get into there, we got to respond. Like OG, we ended the year extremely well. Mm-hmm. We had some viral moments, and now our YouTube has been growing steadily, and that's going to take some time. And if those that listen know that we're here just to provide, to give, to vent for one, and just to have something here for a lot of the youth that we already are around a lot, but we don't get to see as much because we're in Dubai now. And so this is an outlet where we can do that. So anything that happens good from the podcast is a plus, like a major plus. It's not like we're here trying to get rich and nothing like that.
Oh, this is completely on our own dime.
That's it.
Own time.
Own time. Right.
Own time. Like, this is something that we just want to do. We just want to communicate with everybody. Yeah. And before you get into the next talk about some of the the comments and stuff that people made, I do want to say, like, we want to have these discussions with you guys. But for those of you that respond with crazy language and all that stuff, just be mindful that you're an adult, we're an adult.
Yeah.
You come on, show some respect. We wouldn't dare come out of pocket and talk to somebody like that, especially without meeting them. Because if you're not saying stuff face to face, then keep it to yourself. But let's have open discussions, but like just watch the language and the tone, how you speak to somebody.
Yeah, keep in mind, y'all, we bridging the gap. Yeah. And so for y'all that don't know, I'm 31. Now we'll be 32. OG is 20 years older than me. So when he talking to you like this, because he don't play internet games. I don't either. You won't see me on the internet going back and forth with anybody or nothing like that. But we also are people who, what's the new saying right now? We got emotion in real life. So in real life, we have success. Actually, the podcast is a success, and we may talk about things later about how people define a success. But we are having success right now. We're going through hardships. We're doing all these things, but we do things in real life. Like whatever we bring to anybody, we are doing something ourselves in real life, but we won't bring it up, right? And we won't do the other stuff that people do. We don't name drop.
Yeah, we definitely don't name drop.
And we could, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't name drop, we don't call out anybody unless it's warranted, anything like that. But know that we aren't here but to do anything but add value, especially because you guys, we see people talk about all the time as there is no balance in positivity on the media, right? People talk about that all the time, right? And so we're here doing the different thing. We're not giving you dating advice. Or no random dating advice, no like, the top 10 things to get women. We're giving you some improvement stuff. And so, but what I will do is, because like I said, we went viral. Got over 110,000 views and 400 comments, 5,000 likes, a couple shares, like all different type of things. And no ads, might I add. I didn't run any ads for us this year, and we've been getting a lot of action. And so one video in particular struck a nerve for the people, OG. And that was a video in which we gave an excerpt about how I was being critical of this age and the use of technology to learn. Because I was making a comparison to how, because you guys, if you listen to the audio, we play music. And you know how right now most of our music is geared towards the older side, but we talk about how the older group, and even us, we can feel the difference in the way music is being made. The way it's constructed, the way it meets with the people, the way it lasts and everything, because people are growing musically through social media and everything else. There's no artist development, blah, 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 blah. And over the last 10 years, we've seen how that affected the craft. And like I said, we've been seeing the similar type of thing with basketball. And we're going to start seeing more and more ways of how that's affecting the craft too, unless we don't take over. And so some people have some interesting things to say about that, And so I'm going to read off some comments. All right, I'm gonna probably read off a couple. How many comments we got on here that I highlighted? Snipes, give me 8. Okay, we got 8. So we'll give a 45-second, 30 to 45-second response to each, right? I'll based on your facial expression, I'll know which one you're gonna lead off. All right. So the first one, all right, at NIL Coach Kyle B Agent. Okay. Well, let me go slow. At NIL _ Coach Kyle B _ Agent. This is his comment. All right. Coaches, we got to stop whining and blaming the children for the culture we have created, okay? Most of these children have to trust that coaches know how to teach, how to cultivate a love of the game, develop children's athletic ability and confidence in learning. We coaches keep complaining about everything we aren't capable of achieving based on our childhood experience versus learning how to cultivate great athletes and be more concerned with the process over winning. Now, Coach, I'll tell you, I responded to him because I didn't like the insinuating that we were whining type thing. And then,
never whining.
And then I did do some searches. I always click on profile. So I went, and on his Instagram story, he was still kind of going off about it. He was like, you know, I'm tired of you guys getting on here that aren't hoopers. So, you know, he's calling us not hoopers. And then you guys won't go do the hard work. You guys won't go to the park and pull up with the basketballs, blase, 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 blase. Now, while his sentiment may be true about some, he's in the wrong arena for that.
Yeah.
But, well, I'll let you go ahead and see. There's a couple of things there, but what you got, King?
So if we are the definition of real hoopers, I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
We're talking about people that have been in the game since we're talking about age 7 years old.
Minimum.
And every age group you've played at a high level.
Yeah.
Whether it be middle school, high school, college, after college, professionally, AAU level, whatever. We've been around the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the last thing you mentioned about pulling up to a court, like, you know, I'm 50 years old. And anywhere I've been in terms of playing, coaching, or living, whatever, I've definitely been in the community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether I'm going to play, you know, play with the guys, go help the kids or whatever. You know, I'm one for sure. I've given when I didn't have anything to give.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I've had this argument with many other coaches that I've, you know, coached against, and you know, and we talk about our hardships, whatever, in terms of like trying to provide something for the kids to help them move forward, but you know, having issues ourselves. You know, no one cared about my home life. No one cared about my bills, whatever. But I always made sure that I gave as much as I could, whether it be time, finances, you know, or any experiences that I had before with the kids, you know. So like when you say stuff like that, man, you need to do your research, you know, before you say stuff like that, because I take that stuff personally, because you don't know what we've done.
Right.
You don't know what we're doing right now.
And then there's a specific part, right? Because I'm going to respond to the first half where it says, coaches, we got to stop whining and blaming the children for the culture we have created. Right. And then to the second part, I want you to respond to this one, Coach. We coaches keep complaining about everything we aren't capable of achieving based on our childhood experience versus learning how to cultivate great athletes and be more concerned with the process over winning. I'm gonna let you respond to that one. What's that you're taking from that?
In terms of what we weren't able to achieve, I mean, there's only but so far you can go in terms of basketball. And then you get to, we're talking about the less than 1% of the world who's playing in the NBA, and then you're talking about EuroLeague and things like that. But, you know, in terms of like, what haven't we done? That's the thing. If we haven't done anything and we're speaking on things just, you know, just off the top of the dome, and we're making stuff up, we're pulling stuff out of the air, then you haven't done your research at all.
At
you know,
all.
because we've continuously said we don't name drop, we don't talk about things that we've done. We only talk about things that are relevant right now and our experiences.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to get into things that we have done, because it
don't matter.
Yeah, we only have to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody that's respond to us is supposed to be, we're supposed to be better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to just bring out the best in each other. And, you know, the thing is like whining.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is this is not whining. We're just stating some facts, and we're talking about feelings that not only do we have, but people that are currently coaching in the game on the high school level, AAU level, college level, and pro level. Actual coaches that we know personally that we all have the same issues. And it's not that we're trying to create great athletes for every kid. No, we're trying to make every kid serviceable.
Man.
Because anybody can get a great athlete and enhance that player and push them through. But guess what? If that's a great athlete, he's going to be found no matter what. But what about the kids that are just like us, who are average people, want to play the game, but they want to continue their career at a higher level? Well, are we teaching them the fundamentals? And so when we bring up the stuff in terms of, the YouTube stuff, whatever, that stuff is good if you put everything into context. If we're just showing a move and we don't talk about when you would use that move in a game situation, why you would use that move in a game situation, and how to manipulate that move in a game situation, well, we're shortchanging the kid. And I can talk about that because we're going through that right now, where we get kids who, coach, I learned this move on YouTube. And then they show it to me and I'll say, okay, how many times in a 40-minute game are you going to use that move? And they have no idea because all they did was just mimic the move. Okay, so now we have to, as coaches, this kid had 8 turnovers the game before because he was trying this move, but he didn't understand why he was supposed to make this move, how he's supposed to make this move. So now we got to go back and reteach him the stuff that he should have learned the first time. And build up to that move. So that's what we talk about. Nobody's whining. We're just talking about we're skipping the process in the fundamentals of basketball sometimes.
Yeah.
That's it.
And let's be real, like, this is not a culture that we created. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Because what you guys don't know, a lot of you guys that are talking, you guys aren't a part of the culture in which we grew up in. But you guys now, because we all have access to the same tools and technologies, you guys can place yourself within that space. You got people who can get a certification here, people who can do this and that here, people who weren't good during their time, but maybe they got a little money later so they can start an AAU team. Maybe they did some things later, and so they got a chance to skip the process. And now you find yourself teaching kids, and because there are more kids that want to play, you haven't done the due diligence of going back. And some people don't have to play to be great coaches. But you got to still do the work.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm a former high school coach. And of course, so all my buddies are still high school coaches. Whether I got buddies on the college level, pro level, all that stuff. But the number one thing all the high school and college coaches have talked about for the past 20 years involving AAU basketball is that anybody can get a team. Anybody can get a team. And so what happens is, for those of you that may not know this, if I happen to put a lot of money into my program and I persuade certain players to come play for me, we might just go show up at different places and play because we're talented, but we can get away with that because they're talented. But what about the other guys that are just getting together with the kids and just getting a group of kids together, taking their money and going to play somewhere, but they never practice, or they never talk about the things that go along with being a student athlete? Because these kids, AAU basketball, at some point you have to be a student athlete unless you are one of those very few that can jump straight to the NBA or a pro league somewhere else. And so that's the problem. And trust me, I know a lot of guys who do coach AAU basketball that are not high school coaches, but they take it seriously.
Man.
And the only reason they're not high school coaches or coaching on the collegiate level is because they're successful in another industry. And so they give back to the kids in the summer. But those are guys that also talk about the culture around being a student athlete. And so that's where we come in. And we just state the facts. We're not making up stuff. We're talking about stuff that we've been in the past 20 years.
And now, King, I add to that. Since we said that, you had Brandon Jennings talk. Gilbert has talked about it multiple times. Specifically, Gilbert talked about an example of how Kobe, when he went and he taught his girls' team, his daughter's team, they practiced 5 days a week. If you couldn't come to practice every day, you weren't starting. So that means Zach Randolph's daughter, who lived far, could only come to practice 3 times out the week. So she didn't start because you had to practice every day. But they practiced every day. And now I didn't know AAU wasn't practicing that much. Yeah. I didn't know that because where I grew up and where I played, one, you had to try out to even make the team. Right. And you had to get lucky enough to make that.
And then it's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
You got to sign up for a commitment.
Right. But everybody couldn't play because there's also levels to it. Right. And then you had to practice no matter where I was at. And I won't say the names of the teams because I don't want to name drop again and people look at it crazy, but I was in practice. Yeah. I was in practice. We had days where we had skill days specifically where all of us were together from our 13U to our 17U where everybody was in the same gym. And then we had 2 or 3 days of the week where our respective teams are over there working on games. But we practice all the time. Yeah. And all the time.
And the culture around this that I keep talking about is not just on the court. It's in the classroom. Yeah. It's in the community. Yeah. We can't, and I've experienced this, where people get kids in the summer and go play, but then after those summer tournaments are over, they could care less what the kid does.
Exactly.
So what are we saying? You don't need academics? That's crap. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about it's less than 1% of people getting scholarships. So you mean to tell me even that less than 1%, they don't have to have grades to get to school? Mm-hmm. But you won't teach that if you don't know. And that, you know what I'm saying? So when we say sometimes people are leading the youth that maybe leading them the wrong direction. Sometimes it's not intentionally. Sometimes they mean well, they just don't know. But we're talking about the ones that are in it for just the money grab.
Man.
The money grab, or we talk about they're seeking the limelight because I got this kid, I got that kid. Well, if you're going to get them and those parents are going to put their trust in you, well, try to do the right thing. And that's all we're talking about. That's what we try to do. And, I take this very personally when people attack our character in terms of what we try to do with the kids.
Yes. And that's just the first one, right? And so I'm going to read all 4 here, right? This is funny. You know what age this guy is, right? All this back in the day stuff is cynical. If nobody knows how to play basketball, why is basketball better than ever right now? That is at Florida.sounds, right? Mm-hmm. Next, so many people complaining and aren't doing anything to help the game. Everyone talking ain't smart. Change is change. Whether you like it or not, learn how to adjust. At bsun423, right? Now, this one is cool because the people started knocking his head off and I didn't even have to get in there too much. This is so funny to me. He had a lot of O's in there, right? Talk about kids are now learning from YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram as if it's a bad thing. You don't learn from that because it wasn't around then. Duh, you played outside because there was no 24-hour gyms back then. Man, y'all sound like old people. Now we're gonna get in on this, right? And then the same guy, JB Ball in 11. Back when these dudes was learning the games, bigs were taught to play with their back to the basket and inside out. We now know that was incorrect, right? Okay. And so let me get a little bit off because I know you about to fly off the top of this one because this one was all the way dumb, right? And so I'm going to start with this all back in the day stuff, right? If you come anywhere on any of these platforms and you want to tell us that basketball is better now than ever before, prove it. Give me facts. Go to these high school games, go to these middle school games, go to these AAU games, sit and watch a full college men's basketball game, sit and watch a full NBA game, which people are not doing it nearly as much now as they did before. Look at the ratings and prove to me that basketball is being played better. Matter of fact, go ask these coaches. If you are from the DC area, go ask Coach Stevens, go ask Coach Malone, go ask Coach Turner, go ask those legendary coaches there. If you're from the Chicago area, right, you go to Mac Irvin, go ask these people who've been around for multiple generations like Coach King and ask them if basketball is being played better now than it was ever before, right, and see if you can prove that.
First, everybody has their opinion. If you think basketball is better now, that's fine. But here's the thing. You don't have a right to condemn someone else's opinion, which you doing with us, without having seen multiple decades of basketball. And see, I'm 50 years old, so I've seen different decades of basketball. So I can give my opinion because it's, I'm free to do that. But what I'm saying is that I take into consideration what I've seen through each decade of basketball. And the one thing is, when you think about the level of play, okay, everybody says that today's players are better because they're bigger, faster, stronger, more skilled. Okay, here's something to kind of think about. Okay, in today's game, there aren't any bigs. And what we mean by bigs, we're talking about real rim protectors. Because a guy by the name of Rudy Gobert, which not me, not you, but in general, people try to clown him and say that he's really not that good. But he has a hell of a value because he's a rim protector, he plays hard, and he's really, really good at working on what his strengths are. And so he's going to maintain a job. But you think of outside of Rudy Gobert, Jokic, Embiid, how many other bigs do we have that do one or two things really well? Yeah. And so we think about Embiid and Joker, right? They're the two dominant big men in the league, right? They're the only two big men in the league that can score with their back to the basket. So what's the 10-foot hoop? What's the goal? You're trying to put the ball in the basket. What's the easiest way to put the ball in the basket? Get closer to the rim. So if you don't have anybody that can score with their back to the basket, make a move, now, how are we going to free up the shooters? Yeah. And that's what almost every NBA team gets into trouble with towards the playoffs when they don't have anybody they can dump it down to.
And get an easy basket.
Because look at the last maybe 8-9 years of the NBA championships, everybody's had a big except Golden State. Now, Golden State, they did have a couple serviceable big guys, but they've had exceptional outside shooting. Nobody's going to have that. That's once the Golden State Warriors are done, we probably won't see a collection of shooting like that again, because you think about at one particular time they had Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and KD. Yep. That shit ain't happening no more.
And we'll talk about it another time, but what makes that Golden State team so spectacular is their bench. They probably have the greatest bench ever assembled for a championship team. Right. But we'll get to that in another day.
And
right?
So yes, can you say that more wing players are skilled and things like that and strong? Maybe we can, but the game is coached differently now. What you guys don't understand, just because we're older doesn't mean guys back then weren't talented. It's just the game was taught differently. Yeah. You were taught to be, how can I say, more effective, by being conservative. Now we have guys trying different things sometimes, and what happens is your ass ends up on Shaqtin' a Fool, because all you're doing is making a move that you've been taught without teaching you the fundamentals. And so now you're that talented player, right? That you can jump high, you can run fast, you can go between the legs, crossover, all this stuff, shoot from 30 feet. But now you're going from team to team because you can't find a spot. You can't adjust. It's a job. The NBA is a job. So think about it. Sometimes you're in a situation where you have to adjust your game. And so if it's that much better now, right? If it's that much better now, why are so many people complaining about watching a full game?
Yes. And then I ask you, because this is what my next thing, would you say then, because of the leash that's been given and the leash that's been taken away and the unadulterated space people give and everything else, would you say that they don't know how to value the possessions anymore?
Yeah.
Which is why, because defense is different, and now you get ample opportunities to do all of that dumb stuff. Now you talk about why was a coach looking at we can't play this style of play, because if we turn the ball over 8 times, and sometimes a bad shot is a turnover. If it's a turnover, we do that 8 to 10 times, a Pat Riley coach team is going to make us pay, and we're going to be down by 30. And then they're going to strap up, so we're not going to have a chance to do this and that.
It goes back to what we mentioned earlier. Right? Making the fancy move. So coaches understood that we can't keep this up. oh, it's a fantastic move. The highlight move, we know we can't keep that up for 82 games.
Yeah.
College coach, we know we can't keep that up for 40 games. So you make sure you try to be as efficient as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and you think about some of the great guards from back in the day, can you imagine if they had the open space?
Yeah.
Then or the style of play was, hey, let's just get up and down.
Yeah.
What?
Man.
I mean, it'd be just as spectacular. But these guys now, they are super talented and things like that. But we have gotten to a space where now even coaches who feel a certain way about not playing in an efficient manner have to basically not coach the way they want to, because you got to make sure you keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
And so
Kyler Perry just said that too.
If all these players are, even the bigs, or if they're all shooting off the dribble, if they're all shooting threes, they're all spotting up, who's rebounding?
Yeah.
Who's protecting the rim? Who's setting hard screens and rolling? And so now we're getting into a space where we're getting so many international bigs because they'll do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so everybody can't do the same thing on the floor at the same time. You have to find a role. And if you're learning how to play the game, you can take your talent, which is super high level, and you can play anywhere.
Now, King.
And so now, we have some guys struggling with that.
Now I'm going to give you something a little bit more lighthearted, right? In another part of this, my man said that when we were playing, there were no gyms around. There were no 24-hour gyms, and that y'all had to play outside, and y'all didn't have TikTok, right? And then another guy said that you're a hater, plain and simple, because they didn't learn from bum-ass NBA players in the 90s who had basic moves and couldn't even pull up from 40, it's okay, man.
Okay.
And so again, let me remind you guys, I'm 30, you know what I'm saying? So I've been outside. I've been outside a long time, right? All that stuff was around then. But I want to remind you guys, these are the comments that lead us to say you gotta do some more research and understand what it means to actually be a hooper, right? 24-hour gyms have always been around.
If you think that we didn't have 24-hour gyms, you definitely didn't do any research before you said anything. They're actually, because social media, I'm not a big social media guy, but it came across my stream. There was somebody giving shout out to Run and Shoot. People, do you know what Run and Shoot is? Do you know how many guys used to hoop at Run and Shoot?
I played there.
Everybody. If you hooped, everybody played there. Now, here's the difference. Where did you play Run and Shoot, and when did you play? Because there's certain hours and certain courts that everybody couldn't just walk in and get a game.
Let's stay there, because we have these same people talking about playing outside is overrated, and that you playing with those old bum ass dudes is not getting you better because they have weak blah 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 blah. And so this is what, like I said, this is where we start to differentiate the people, right? If you are in a space to where there's a good basketball culture around, because that's what we're talking about, the culture needs to be revived all around, right? The way we appreciate the game, when we talk about it, the way we approach it, and our ethic and everything. If you are one of those, if you are at a place to where the real ones are outside playing, you're not even going to be allowed on the court. Right. So for those of you guys that talk about, hey, who plays on concrete, who does this, who does that, there aren't even as many concrete courts out anymore. Gentrification that we all know about, when people have come in, they've changed up all those basketball courts, and kids aren't playing there, right?
What you see as an outdoor court is completely different from when we played.
And everybody that's ever been in the NBA, all of our stars, our greats, have played on no concrete. And it hasn't hurt them or missed them out on any type of money. They've been fine. 20-year careers and all that type of stuff. And so we've been out there. And so when we were playing out there, it was pros out there. It was guys who could have had their chance at pros, but some people decided to take a trade instead of going playing pro because money wasn't there.
Let's be real about this. There are guys that work regular jobs that'll bust your ass. And they have NBA talent, but circumstances got to be right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, why can't you go outside and play a little bit now or get some shots up? Because you got better technology for shoes.
Yep.
We're talking about, we give Gilbert Arenas, for example. You know, we'll give any NBA player that's currently playing. Most of them have outside courts at their homes.
Yeah.
Where do they get shots up? On their outside court sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really no excuse for you to, if you know that you say you're a hooper, you want to hoop at a high level. You want to work on your game. If you can't get access to an indoor facility, why wouldn't you go outside and get some shots up? We're not saying you got to go play and get up and down 94 feet, you know, for 3-4 hours. Go get some shots up. Kids just don't do that often now.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day when you go to a park, you know, you'd have to wait your turn to play. And then if you lose, you either went home because you're like, I ain't getting back on the court today because there's too many guys waiting behind me. All right. So what you do is you start to think about, why did we lose? All right. And so now you try not to make those same mistakes because you're like, we want to run the court because we know if we lose, it's just too many guys having next. So let's get our 5. Let's do what we need to do and stay on the court.
And that's if you come with 5 though, King. Talk about being the guy that comes to a new spot and nobody knows your game.
Right.
And so we've talked about this before in the space. The little nuances you got to learn when you enter into a new space. Because if you are somebody that aspires to go somewhere for school, to play or go somewhere, when you first enter into that gym, if you're not a 5-star, everybody knows about you, which there aren't that many of. And so stop using examples of special talents like it's a blanket stuff. Because it's no. Because if you walk into a gym, if I don't know you from a can of paint and you want to play, I'm not just giving you the rock for you to do one-on-one things. You got to learn how to stay on the court.
Right.
Even if I average 25 in the DMV, but I go to Houston to play, when I get on that court, I got to do something to let them know, like, oh, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
It might be a good extra pass right here. It might be me covering that second help defense line because they went and rotated, so now I got his. It's those little things that make it different.
And once you show that you can play, then the guys are like, oh, man, hey, pass the ball. Eddie, do your thing. Eddie, do your thing. But you got to earn that. You can't just step on the floor and everybody say, oh, we're going to give you 20 shots. No, it doesn't work like that. You got to show people that you know how to play. And that's where we talk about kids playing. We're not talking about necessarily like enhancing your skill. We're talking about learning how to play. And so what happens is guys that don't go play in these situations don't understand how to lose.
Man.
You know, so now they lose, they quit, or they don't go back to that space anymore. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna go back tomorrow, I'm gonna bust their ass.
Man.
You know, and we get that with kids we have now. So stop telling us what we see every day. We have to build kids up in terms of their competitive fire, in terms of like, we just got smoked yesterday in the league game by 15, all right, to a team that we're clearly just as good as they are, but they just punked us. So now what are we going to do? Oh, are we going to say we just can't beat them, or are we going to work during the week and get ready to prepare for them again?
Man.
And that's why we're saying you learn these little nuances of the game by playing in different spaces. You got to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Man.
It's good to go play somewhere where you don't know everybody sometimes.
Man, King, you brought up that point too, right? And all of this ties back into the training and everything because you can't have one without the other.
Right.
Now, you talking about learning how to play. Some of these kids don't know how to understand that you've made an impact on the game without scoring.
Yep.
Or you made an impact on the game without making a spectacular play. If you can't make a between, tween, cross, step back 3, you feel like you haven't done anything.
Right.
Or if somebody else has got it going, you don't know how to play off of them and maybe do a cut here, set a screen here, and let them keep going or go get a basket off of offensive rebound. So now you're just standing and watching. And so because you have that habit, you carry that on to your high school team. You carry that on to your AAU team. And maybe you don't have a coach who's like us, who can talk to you about how that is going to impact your ability to go to school, because nobody wants to deal with that because that's a question of nature. That's about something that I can't teach or change, right? And so then that brings me to, King, I remember when it was starting to change. I remember going into my senior year in college. It was 2015. In college, well, this is another thing that you guys don't know. For as long as college basketball has been around, there's always been a heavy turnover of athletes. Kids don't make it academically. Kids don't make it because they can't take the request coaches have because they're not coming from a place where they have to be held accountable. So we don't like all the excuses you're giving us right now for why kids can't do something with everything that they have with technology. So when they get to school, it's going to be in trouble. Because in between 2011 and 2015 in my school, we had a turnover of like 35 to 40 players. Because our coach always had to recruit more than we could because some couldn't take it academically.
You're going to lose some.
Yeah, you're just going to lose some. But one in my senior year, it was 8 seniors, and then we had 9 freshmen and sophomores, no in between, because the guys couldn't stand. Biggest difference ever. Coming in my freshman year, our open gym was packed. Everybody was playing for 3-4 hours. Our senior year, we're playing, but we got to drag the freshmen in the gym. We got to make them stay. We got to say, yo, like, y'all been playing. Nah, I put up some shots earlier. Nah, I did this earlier. All right, we about to play 5-on-5. Nah, I'm a little tired. As freshmen, sophomores. Now, they get in a game situation. They have a little resistance. They don't know how to play against it.
Yep.
They struggling. A lot of them didn't have good careers after we left because we were taking over the brunt of the load. And all of that went back to there. It's like, yo, you really got to be able to handle this here. It's like, can't do it.
You were good enough to get there, but the work doesn't stop. It increases because that is a higher level, and you're trying to survive. And so if you stop working, that you're gonna have some problems. You're gonna have failure, and you're gonna have failure that you're not gonna feel good about because you weren't able to give your best effort. And that's what we talk about. We're not talking about the super talented player that he can probably stay up all night or maybe miss a workout and still come in there and be better than everybody. We're talking about 99% of athletes that make it to high school teams and then to college. You got to work and you got to know what it takes to be a good student athlete, and that's what we're talking about. Nobody's being a hater because haters don't give props to players that they see that are killing it today. Yeah. Haters don't talk about how, man, we love that kid. He's got a great work ethic. That kid's super talented. That kid's unselfish. That kid's very coachable. We give credit where credit is due, but we're talking about the kids that we see struggle. Yeah. We're concerned with them.
And they're the ones that need us the most because they don't have the athletic ability. Now, this is the last one, King. And this guy said, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, etc., it's a form of studying craft, not just highlights. So we shouldn't be generalizing that statement either. And then they said, invite-only workouts make the run better instead of a free-for-all, blah, 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 blah. And this individual also said that kids aren't just getting scholarships and looked at just because they can run and jump anymore. So one, that also means you don't know what you're talking about because a coach will always take the athlete, especially if they feel like they can mold them into something. So some people, all they got to be able to do is run and jump because some things you can't teach. So you'll take it.
Here's something that would put that to bed right now. If that's the case, why was Joker taken in the second round?
Yep.
Think about that.
Yeah.
People laugh at him because he can't jump that high. He's slow. He doesn't look like he's in great shape. And so that left question marks on him, and he got drafted second round. You think if people looked at him in terms of just being super fundamentally sound, playing smart, playing hard, you think he'd have gone second round? He'd been first round pick.
Nope. Because there's certain things you can't teach. Now, because you get to see him now, you're like, how do you miss out on that? But you don't know unless you're in the game. Yeah, you think he's doing a lot of crazy stuff in training, or is he working in the game?
Right. And so, people say, we're old. Yeah, I am old. Yeah. But Yates, you're 31, right? And when you think about the new guys, right? Most of the younger guys right now say Kobe Bryant is your idol. Right? And so if Kobe Bryant is your idol in terms of who you see as the best basketball player as you were growing up, so you're going to just completely dismiss things that Kobe has said
himself
about past NBA players and how the game is today.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Yeah.
You know, when your great players give love to the old school, you know, you got to take that into consideration, that it must mean something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that he's hating on the new guys. It's just he's making a statement from his experiences.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what, you know, hey, you know, the guys we have today, man, these guys can do a lot of things. But, you know, but we have to also say, we're not going to shit on the older guys and say they couldn't do this, couldn't do that, because they could play. Absolutely.
Now, and I'm going to end it off here. Now, with the notion that TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are a variation of studying film, that's not true. That's not true. And for anybody that says that, they haven't been in a real film session, right? And so what you don't get from, and you've already talked about this, we don't get disclaimers in these YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok reels and videos. You don't get disclaimers because those are things that are quick highlights trying to grab your attention.
Right.
They don't care about what you're learning from something. And typically when you go to these different places and look and read or something, unless you are watching an old coaching clinic, you're not breaking anything down all the way. It's like watching a damn vlog for it. Right? What we're saying is, when you look at a film or you look at any of these games, are they saying that this is a move you should be making if you are a 13-year pro and you play in this type of system because this is the type of stuff you're going to get? But before you get to here, I have 7 videos of perfecting your pickup, perfecting your pull-up from left to right, perfecting your footwork off of that, perfecting your footwork playing on 2 feet before you get to these moves. This is why we're saying that's not studying film. And if you've been in a good place with a great coach, you also know that studying film is a skill in its own, which is why you have video coordinators, which is why you have people that have to sit and really do that, because do you know what you're looking at?
Right.
Do you know what you're looking at?
Yeah. NBA teams, college teams, high-level high school programs have people just breaking down footage, you know, and they break down the footage and give each player, according to the position, you know, certain little clips. But it's not just highlights, it's their mistakes. You know, it's their, you know, defensive rotations and things like that, how they're playing head on the ball, things like that. You know, we don't have many people sitting down and watching an entire game and really breaking down a player. You know, and like I said, people say we're not in the mix. Well, we help send kids to certain places in the States. And a lot of times I say, send me some footage, and I get only a 3-minute highlight reel. Well, I look at that highlight reel and I say, oh man, you can do some things, but I want to see a game too.
Exactly.
Because I need to know how to explain you to a college coach that's going to take a chance on you.
Yeah.
Like I just as much as you have a highlight, maybe hitting a step back 3, I need to see what your weaknesses are so I can be honest with this coach, so he or she can determine whether or not you can fit into their system. You know.
Keyword, system.
Right.
This is another thing that you guys that aren't inside of this don't understand. For you guys that are teaching these kids to do 30 different moves before getting to something simple, you got to remember that these guys are trying to promote and market themselves to fit in somebody's college or wherever else to where they have systems. A lot of these systems are older than these kids. And so you may not know this, some of you that haven't played, but if you are a super athletic team in AAU and you run up against one of these teams from the Northeast that run a very, very strict Princeton-style offense that you can't keep up with because we're doing dribble handoffs and everything else, but the ball is moving side to side, and we don't even get a chance to use our athleticism in one-on-one. That's because of the system. That's because of the game of basketball and why some coaches have such a strong handle on the game and why kids got to be able to be taught how to do all of those different things.
You got to be able to do everything.
You got to be able to do everything, because if you run up against a team who's very well coached and disciplined, your one-on-one moves mean nothing.
Right.
And then you have to be efficient and effective because they may limit the number of opportunities you have to score by controlling the pace.
Right.
And
The way you score may change the game.
Everything. And so, but can you do that? Or are you going to be met with super frustrations because you can't dribble the ball as many times?
Right.
And so now you're looking around and like, yo, like, what is this?
And so let me say this again before we move on to something completely different. We aren't against you. We're with you.
Man.
We're just trying to help. We're just giving our experiences. Mm-hmm. And our experiences, are our experiences. So our opinions, do matter, just like your opinion matters. Yeah. But we need to make sure we have this discussion and we just keep it cordial. Like, don't come at us crazy, because we're never coming at you like that. We want to discuss these things because if you're doing what you say you are doing, then you have a handle on grassroots basketball, and somebody somewhere that's younger than you is looking up to you and following your lead. So we definitely have to make sure we're all on the same page and we're doing the right thing, because what we do with the kids now impact them for the rest of their lives.
Man, OG, I got the perfect segue for you, big dog.
See, the thing is, Ocho, is that I'm a firm believer. You never judge a man by where he's standing, because you don't know how far he's come. See, you look at the man that's laying on the street, but how about what if he was under the bridge just yesterday? See, you judge a man by where he's standing, not knowing where he came from. You see, a lot of people say, well, Shannon, it's easy for you to say that because you this, but you didn't see from 1968 to 1988. See, that's what you didn't see. And you didn't see Shannon go to bed hungry. And you didn't see Shannon not take a bath. And you didn't see Shannon get rained on. And you didn't see his granny crying, asking, what am I going to pay for today? Do I keep the lights on so you can do your homework? Or do I keep the phone connected so we can call somebody if there's an emergency? What am I going to do this month? So while you judging me for what I am now, do you know where I came from? And did you know how long it took me to get here? See, all you see is my successes, but you didn't see the delayed opportunity that was missed. You see the thing?
Let's come.
That was crazy.
Listen, they bridging the gap. They bridging the gap. They
perfect cap to it, because man, you don't have no clue, and we still pushing it right there, right? And I think, we go from that to go to Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock. I gotta find the actual thing. I want to make sure I can hear Stephen A. say this out loud.
Man, it's just the way he started it. Like,
hey man, like OG, like do the people like this guy? Like, are they friends with him?
Whitlock?
Yeah.
I said that name. It's not a name I've uttered. I normally don't do that, but it's necessary to do now.
What is it?
I've had enough of that fat bastard. That piece of shit. And I want to make sure that before I go to break, I want anyone out there who watches me, anyone out there who knows me, anyone out there, no matter what you think of me, I want you to remember, I never talk about him. I never talk about my colleagues. I don't do that. This is a first. But it's necessary. And when I say don't talk about them, I don't mean don't talk about them literally. I don't get in on them like I'm about to do now. I literally called my pastor and asked for his forgiveness and understanding in advance, because he's not going to recognize the person he's about to hear. I did the same when I emailed the bosses at ESPN. This is my podcast. I own and operate this. I do what I want on this podcast, but it doesn't mean that I still don't harbor a responsibility to at least give my daytime employers a
man. What is it? What is it? What is it, King?
Man, from Whitlock, man, like, a guy that's so intelligent, but it just seems like he's always negative against certain people that look like him, are in high positions, and they're doing well. And it just seems like, I don't know, it's just like he's got to use someone else's, downfall to lift himself up. But yet he's the one always saying that people shouldn't, use certain things as excuses, and need to work harder, and he's a religious man, and things. It's just like, man, I guess he just went too far with Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen couldn't take it anymore, and the fact that he has his own podcast, so now he can speak freely, and address it. So Whitlock's in trouble.
Man, I was trying to find out what Stephen A. called him a bitch, but
man, look, he said enough already.
Hey man,
it's
the thing too is because Whitlock was trying to call out the fact that he was saying that Stephen A. is an industry plant, saying that Stephen A. didn't really play in big house games, didn't know him, and all these other crazy things.
Man, listen,
Whitlock is one of those guys that nope. And not the problem, but is when you do stuff like this and during this day and age, you say you're intelligent. You say he's supposed to be intelligent, but now what happens is 50 people come out supporting everything that Stephen A. said about how you tried to pry people, how you tried to get them to work with you for less, how you trying to be terrible. Like, there's a lot of stuff to come out. When you start ringing out and saying anything, like,
he's got a lot of baggage.
And
then what Stephen A., definitely, he's one person that if you've been on social media or watching mainstream sports, he's one person you shouldn't mess with.
Yeah.
You should not bring up his name unless you've done extensive research and you don't have any skeletons in your closet, because he will come at you.
Yeah.
Like he is ESPN. Like, and if they were to say he's got to go, trust me, he'll land on his feet somewhere else and be saying the same thing and doing his own thing. So they picked the wrong one.
Yeah, and Whitlock, you don't have no friends in this, my boy. Like, nobody likes you. Like, that's not even, and you not even playing like the villain, so to speak, like Skip was. People just genuinely don't like you as a human.
Right.
Like, that's a whole different space. Like,
right.
You need to take some time away. As much as we made Draymond take some time away, you need to take some time away, Whitlock, and go do some soul searching and figure some things out, because you got some other issues that people just can't get together, man. And
because the next person going at him.
Oh yeah,
Deion gonna get him soon.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. He had been killing Deion for the whole season. About taking the Colorado job, and how
I didn't see that.
How he brought so much light to Colorado, and sees it as the wrong way. Because Deion is
he's bigger than the school.
He's bigger than the school, basically, and Deion is one with the new generation.
Yeah,
and Whitlock went at him hard about promoting his kids. But the thing is, like, let's be real. Deion's kids, Shador, only went to Jackson State because Deion was there. He could have gone anywhere else in the country, and so before, the weaknesses of, certain aspects of their team, because, they just put it together, started coming to light. He was throwing that thing all over the place. For sure.
Shit. So this is what Jason Whitlock said about Deion Sanders. If LeVar Ball had coached his sons in college, this is what it would look like.
Yep.
Deion is nothing more than LeVar Ball was someone who was foolish enough to give him $5 to $6 million to coach their team. I might punch him in his face when I see him.
Right.
Like, what, are you crazy?
Yep.
Like, I ain't even gonna spend no time on that. But this is also why this is also part of the reason why players are getting into media.
Yeah.
Because of people like him.
Right.
And so from there, people just dig up all the old videos. He asked something stupid to Kobe. Kobe's like what? But there's a lot of those. And so for every one Stephen A. or Mark Rowe, whoever else, there's 10 of those who just ruin it for everybody.
Right.
Man,
Can't
but
hide now.
not at all. Not at all. And speaking of ESPN in trouble. Pat McAfee, you know Pat McAfee.
Oh, something's wrong with him. I love him.
He lived on his own planet, and they ain't doing something right over there. Pat McAfee went online and called out the guy's name.
Yeah.
And was like, "Look, like you're gonna be in trouble, my boy."
Yeah. Listen, man. Anytime you come on your show, you got you wearing a wife beater. I shouldn't say that.
A black joint too.
You know, he's relaxed. He's relaxed.
He good, and then Stephen A. only got 18 months left on his contract. And so, you know, if you've been peeping, he's been building his own content and everything on YouTube. So if ESPN don't play right, because it look like McAfee may be out when his thing is done,
they can't.
And then they lose Steven.
They can't lose both.
And they love Shannon and all that, but Shannon got Club Shay Shay and kept the rights to that. Yeah. And so Club Shay Shay and then the nightcap with Ocho and Gil, like it's more about these personalities and entertainers now than it is about the machines going forward, because now these people, they can be honest about what machines are doing.
Right.
And so they can really say and move and be like, nah, I don't need you anymore. So that's the beauty of the tech time, right? But let's talk local news, King. Dubai has the Euro League coming 2025. So let's start with the appropriate sounds. So EuroLeague is coming. It's a Spanish news media outlet. It said that a team that Dubai will be in the league for the upcoming 24-25 season. And so nothing is in stone yet about time, but there will be a Dubai team in the EuroLeague. And they'll play at the Coca-Cola Arena. Let's see what else we got. 13 shareholders of the EuroLeague: Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, a lot of names I can't pronounce. And so each of them received some money from Dubai to enter the space, which is not bad at all. So there's a mutual benefit. And then initially, they sought to organize 2 Final Four tournaments, but this proposal was rejected. So, nonetheless, basketball is coming, and better basketball than what's already being played in this pro league here. And so, I'm excited about that, though, King, actually, because I want to look forward to being able to take some of our young youth players and my wife and my kid to this game and being able to see something like consistently.
So they're just gonna play the games here, or
it's gonna have a team?
A team, okay.
A team. They have a team, and then they'll be in the EuroLeague.
Will they play some games in the local league too?
Probably like to warm up type stuff. Probably, most likely. But also, there is starting to be a new influx of talent coming into the GCC period between Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi, and Dubai's league, UAE league. UAE league is a bit slower because the competition is not the same. But people are coming. Lifestyle, money and payment, and just the growth about everything around here. So people are coming. So have you talked to any of your people about what it looks like for EuroLeague to be here, or even how they feel about basketball in the Middle East now?
Oh, I just heard of it from you today, but I'm definitely those will be conversations we'll have soon because people will be asking me about it. For
sure.
But I mean, man, have a EuroLeague team. That's a great start.
Great
start.
Yeah.
That's people don't see it now, but that with the NBA having preseason games in Abu Dhabi, that's going to bring the level of basketball up a lot increasingly in the next 10 years.
Yeah. And people have been asking, are we going to coach or are we going to try to play it or something? And I'm like, I can't see myself doing that, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm excited to see how that goes because that changes so many things. And so moving on, who's the best point guard to ever come out of New York?
Well, all of New York, or are we going to talk about what was said in terms of Coney Island?
No, well, see, I was just about to pull it up. Right here. And so let's start with right here.
Set the bar. But now Lansdowne won that smoke with Young Bassy. Like, they're talking about this dude right there. Like, hold on, you talking about him? Like that dude?
Yeah.
I don't know about when everybody got in the league and everybody got their contracts and you feel me. I don't know about all that, but talk about this dude right there.
So we stick before we get to the league. We're sticking purely with high school right now. So you're saying,
yeah, I'm talking about the impact on the culture. Facts.
Right. So right now,
Facts.
purely high school, you're better than Lance Stevenson and Stephon Marbury. You're saying.
Facts.
Okay.
Yeah, because Killer, you talking all basketball. You going into the stats. The people going to tell you like just how we did it.
Right.
Like I brought Braun to the hood to play in IAC.
See,
like
the thing
best
about
player in the world.
The thing about it is this, and I would almost say you're too young, but you're not young because you was around Steph and everybody else. But Steph bought Kevin Garnett.
It's a fact. So we set the bar.
All right, and so then here we go.
Give him the utmost credit and respect. You had a phenomenal high school career. I say that with respect. Not putting him over the Lou Alcindors, the Kenny Andersons, the Pearl Washingtons, and the list goes on. My man sitting right there, you know, on the other side of camera, Mark Jackson. But at the end of the day, how dare you say that you're the greatest in New York City history with all this New York City history before you? None of us New York City basketball players ever put ourselves ahead of the players of yesteryear, the players that came before us, and that laid the foundation, the groundwork for us. There's no Rafer Alston without a Mark Jackson, without a Rod Strickland, without a Boo Harvey. The list goes on and on. How dare me as a young say something about I'm better than those guys? I don't care. I give you a prime example.
Yep. So,
man, out of New York, point guards. Man, you talk about Earl the Pearl Washington, Kenny Anderson, like Rod Strickland.
Yeah.
Like it's some killers that came out of New York at the point guard spot.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about like the best player that came out, you got to talk about their high school career, their pro career. I mean, their college career, then their pro career. I mean, Sebastian don't.
Yeah. Look. Listen to this though.
He told us to ask Mark, did I cook him in Hunter College? So the answer is no. He did not cook you.
Come on, man.
Come on.
He's a 16-year-old kid playing against, I humbly submit, the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. You know, what are we doing?
I mean, I love the debate. I love the debate. I love the energy.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
all fun.
It's all fun. But it's the camera thing. It's the camera thing. Because you don't see, and to an extent, not having cameras around builds to the allure.
Yep.
So, like, you really don't know how great it was to see Doc and to see Earl the Pearl and to see all those people because it's just myth and legend, but people were there to tell you. If they had cameras to follow around those guys during those times,
come on, man,
it might even be even crazier than what Through the Fire was. And I love Through the Fire.
Yeah, Through the Fire was crazy.
I love it.
But man, listen,
it doesn't make you better, though.
If you were playing basketball before social media and stuff really started to take off, and you were a big time player in say Oakland, say like Jason Kidd.
Oh yeah.
But everybody in the country knew who you were. That means you was nice.
Mm-hmm.
You was nice. Like people didn't have to promote you. People talked about you anyway. So like I said, if Mark Jackson would have had something like Through the Fire, especially Kenny, people have no idea what type of phenomenon Kenny Anderson was coming out. They have no idea. And Stephon Marbury, come on, man.
Steph is crazy. Steph's game is crazy. But what I like and what I hope is that people will go back and do some research, and go look it out, check it out, because it's all fun in the game. But that's part of the culture that we love, though.
Right.
Because Bashi is part of that culture.
Right.
Bashi was definitely part of that culture and keeping it going. And that's from my era. For those of you that say we wasn't outside playing and we didn't have videos, like that's real right there. But I wonder, King, who has better point guards? Is it Cali or New York?
Man, Cali,
is it Cali or New York? Because I seen B Diddy and them talking about it on the thing, and they was like, I mean, New York, all right. They got some stuff, but y'all really ain't giving us no love.
So here's the thing.
Snipes.
The New York guards I say always had like the better handle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what they say though, right?
They were let me finish, man.
Yeah.
Damn. They had the better handle, and I say they ran teams better. You know what I'm saying? But the Cali guards, they had more of a combination of handle and athleticism. Like those guys were like get buckets.
Hold on, King. Because we are some people who don't really know. When we say Cali guards, because they probably like, how are you even putting that in a conversation? Like, who the fuck Cali got to put in that conversation? You got to go down a little list for them, King.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin.
We can go J Kidd.
First, let's just start J Kidd. Like at that particular time, somebody that moved that fast from East-West at 6'4", 200 pounds. I mean, come on, man. He played. He had bounce and everything, but he didn't. He was more. He would be more of a New York guard in terms of just running the show, but his speed and size just made him a phenomenon, kind of like LeBron. Like somebody coming at you full speed like a freight train, but you don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know if he's gonna lay you. You don't know if he's gonna dump it off. I mean, it's just, shit.
But
incredible, man.
And I'm gonna name some names, right? You got Andre Miller. You got J Kidd. You got B Diddy. You got Baron Day. You got Brandon Jennings. You can definitely give it. You got Gilbert Arenas. You got people. You got Gary Payton.
People don't even know how good Baron Davis was.
They don't really.
This is a dude who not only could handle the rock, shoot the rock, get to the rack,
dunk on you,
crazy bounce after 2 knee surgeries.
Yeah, and a back injury.
Like just crazy, And we talking about muscle guards too. We ain't talking about scrawny dudes. We talking about dudes that'll body you.
Yeah.
Brandon Jennings slider frame, but again, he's got a lot of herky jerk in his game, and he's a lefty.
Yeah.
So it was hard to handle him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And who am I missing? Because that's why I threw Andre Miller out there, because there's some of those people who are legendary guards, point guards, who aren't the critically acclaimed names.
Well, here's one thing. You can just, if you see interviews of some of the great point guards for the past 15, 20, they all mention Andre Miller.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes. Somebody that is well known mentioning another player and giving him credit. He's tough.
Where Mike Bibby from?
He's from Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to I think he went to Shadow Mountain High or some shit like that.
Okay.
Tough.
Yeah. It's
tough.
That's a statement. That's a nice little battle too.
Like people think about this. I know we laugh because he's been on TNT for 30 years, it seems like, and he's funny and he's having some issues with knees. People don't know Kenny Smith was like the #1 point guard in the nation coming out of New York.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some highlights.
Like he had bounce.
Yeah.
But look what he did. He went to Carolina.
He was Rookie of the Year too.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, at Sacramento.
He had bounce. He could run the show. He D'd up. I mean, there's a lot of guys coming out of New York, man. A lot of guys coming out of Cali. That's a tough one. We'd have to put up a list of top 20 and compare them.
Yeah, he wasn't all NBA Rookie of the Year, but he was on the All Rookie team. But he averaged 14 and 7 his rookie year.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
And Sacramento wasn't.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he had a lot of minutes and he was getting roasted.
Yeah.
So to go in from there, because there's a couple more things we got to talk about in the NBA and basketball wise, but I don't want to go too far to the end of the podcast and not bring up your guy, Nick Saban. Nick Saban retires. It's not just about how many games we won and lost, but it's about the legacy and how we went about it. We always tried to do it the right way. The goal was always to help players create more value for their future, be the best player they could be, and be more successful in life because they were a part of the program, said Saban. Saban in 72, he retires after his 17th season. He won 201 games.
17th season at
Alabama. Yes, at Alabama. And so he's where else are his accolades? 13 SEC championships, 6 national titles,
7
national titles.
Because he started at Kent State, went to Michigan State, took the LSU job, won the SEC championship, won a national championship, then took the Miami Dolphins job. Then he left after 2 years, I think. Then he went to Bama.
Yeah.
And then there in Bama, I think he won. I think at LSU, I think he may have won 2 SEC championships. At Bama, he won 9 SEC championships and 6 national championships.
Yeah, and then he got 1 MAC title too.
I didn't know he had a MAC title.
Yeah. So he was 292 and 71 with 1 tie as a college coach.
Yeah. So anywhere he's been, he's had them competing at a high level, and he set the standard for, how you prepare each year. What he basically ran, I say 10 to 12 future Hall of Fame coaches out of the SEC.
Yeah.
Just not because they weren't good, it's because their fan bases were impatient in them not matching his success.
Right.
Which is stupid. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what happens when you become that great. Everybody thinks they can emulate that. Yeah. So this is your guy though, Coach.
Yeah.
And so what is something that, not even what is something, because I'm sure it's a lot, but what are the things that you've learned from him that you feel like every coach should make sure that they instill? Something we haven't talked about before as far as like the preparation and stuff, but because I know it's somebody that you study, because you watch his moves for good reason. And so some people may not know outside of the stats and what they see.
I probably say the number one thing, man, is being able to adapt year to year and maintain your integrity. He's never changed his coaching philosophy. He's just changed the method in which he goes about it sometimes, And so, here's a guy that has won multiple championships, conference and national championships in different decades. That's crazy when you think about.
He's 72.
He said, "Yeah, man, 72 years old, man." And when he retired, this is something that no one even thought about because he didn't look like he was wearing down.
Yeah.
While they were, in the Final Four this year, they were still putting together a top 2 or top 3 recruiting class.
Yeah.
And so some people say that, the NIL situation ran him out, but no, I just think that I think he's one of those guys that didn't want to continue if he knew he wasn't going to put all he had into it.
Yeah.
Because, those are long days because he's a CEO of a major program. And for him to win in different decades while making the adjustment and still coaching the way he wants to coach, and having, nurtured probably the greatest coaching tree in the history of college football. It's crazy because most of his coaches go on to be head coaches and they're successful.
Very successful.
So and then here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. Most of his coaches that go on to be head coaches, he's only lost to them 3 times. And he's played I think he's had 25 games, against his former coaches. He's only lost 3 times.
Unreal.
That's crazy.
And those are all recent too.
That's crazy.
So now we got to talk about Alabama, right? Because Alabama is a storied program because that's where the greatest of great coaches have been, right? Because Nick Saban is so good now, you almost forget for people who are young who was there before there until they go back and look, right?
Go look up a guy by the name of Bear Bryant. And you think, you're like, man, you left the Miami Dolphins to go to Alabama and coach behind Bear Bryant? He went there, and like you said, you don't even mention Bear Bryant's name now, but the people who respect the game understand that you can't forget about the past because, he set the tone for you going forward. And so
leave it there. So going forward, who comes in behind?
They already got a guy.
Right. And so now I want you to tell me, is this the right guy?
So this guy, I think it's pronounced DuBois, but he's the former Washington head coach. He's been there 2 years, I think. He was like the 3rd or 4th choice because they were going for some more established guys.
Who were the first?
I think I read it was. I think someone might have reached out to Kirby. He ain't leaving Georgia. I think somebody. I think Lane Kiffin's name was mentioned.
Why is Lane Kiffin's name?
The dude. they put up points. Yeah. And that's how you win today in today's college football. You got to put up points.
He in the mix with everything.
Everything, and he's crazy. So, and I think they made a call to Sarkisian at Texas, and I know Dabo's name was in the mix because Dabo started at Alabama as a player and as a grad assistant, and Dabo had some issues with the fan base at Clemson early on. Yeah. And I think people were starting to forget, like, when he took over Clemson, he put y'all on the map. And so you got to understand that, you can't compete for a national title every year. Yeah. You know what I mean? So is this guy the right choice? I don't know, because, he doesn't have a solid footing in recruiting the Southeast. But of course, him going to the national championship game and being winning at a high clip everywhere he's been, because he was at
Fresno State before, right?
He was at South Dakota State or something like that. Something like that. And he won at a high clip. So the thing is, he's going to surround himself with people who help him get the job done. So I don't know, man. It is just strange that you're somewhere for 2 years. They were offering you an extension to double your money, and you left to go to Alabama because those are big shoes to fill. Because me personally, I'd be very hesitant, because even though you got all the resources there, Yates, every day you're walking down the hall, you got Bear Bryant on this side, Nick Saban on this side, and you got everybody in a 4 or 5 state radius always reminding you that, well, this is the way Nick did it.
This is the house that Nick has built.
Nick Saban didn't do it like that. You got to hear that all the time, man.
And his players said he left in the middle of the night. He ain't tell nobody in Washington.
Really?
He's like, we found out when they just cleared all the lockers out.
Wow.
And so you think about that, right? So that leads us to the point so Alabama has a lot of people decommitting.
Yep, instantly, yeah.
Where are they going?
Yeah, I know for sure a couple of them have already mentioned that Colorado's on their list.
Come on.
Dion has I think it was 2 weeks ago, he had a top 10
receiver,
top 10 recruiting class from the portal.
Yeah.
And I think just a couple of days ago he's moved up to top 4.
Prime, we with you.
Yeah. They were only let's just say having some more experienced linemen away from making some big noise.
Hey, listen, but let's end it there with some love and respect. Thank you, Nick Saban. Thank you for all the lessons that you've given to future coaches. Thank you to the lessons you've given to generations and generations of young men, trainers, staff, everybody. We appreciate you. The GOAT.
Legend.
The GOAT. And so let's get into some NBA stuff as we wrap it up.
Okay.
NBA news. Let me start with a question, right? So they got this thing going around. They always do this start, bench, cut thing. And they've been doing start, bench, cut. And usually I don't bring it onto the pod, but this one was intriguing because we talk about it in the group chat. And so originally the start, bench, cut was Tyrese Halliburton, SGA, and John Morant. Mm-hmm. I was telling my guys that I don't put those guys in the class with John Morant because people just don't. Ja really been carrying an organization since he got into the league, and his biggest moments have been in the playoffs. Yeah. In the playoffs, and so I love SGA is one of my favorite young players, favorite guys. Like he's one of those guys that I think is going to be great for the next 10. But I always tell people that I like to see what somebody does in the playoffs.
Yep.
Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray. Those are the times where I'll be like, all right, this guy is taking a step above. And so I say, with the start bench cut, the appropriate trio is Tyrese Halliburton, Tyrese Maxey, and SGA. Who do you start? Who do you bench? Who do you cut? Yeah, that's a tough one, right? 2 Kentucky guys on there too. Shout out to Cal.
Yeah. I like Maxey.
Yeah, I do.
I like Maxey a lot because he gets his without having anything run for him.
Yep.
And he can I feel like you can put him in any system and he'll fit in and start. You know what I'm saying? Whether you put the ball in his hands and he has to go make a play, or you need him to play off somebody. I think he's that guy, and I think he'll go and strap up on the other end.
Yeah. So you starting him or you what?
I'm starting.
All right. So who coming off the bench?
The guy from Pacers.
Pacers?
Yeah.
You taking him over SGA?
No. He's on the bench.
All right, but you got to cut somebody though. So
hold on. I'm starting somebody.
You starting somebody. You benching somebody. Then you cutting somebody.
I'm benching him.
You benching who?
The guy from the Pacers.
From the Pacers, and then you cutting SGA.
No, I'm benching SGA.
Oh, okay. So then
you asked me the question.
Look. Remember, what's the name play for OKC? SGA played for OKC. Halliburton played for the Pacers.
Right. So I'm cutting him.
Okay. And you
right?
All right.
That's why I said the Pacers. Because I didn't want to mess his name up. Halliburton. That's how you.
Yeah, you cutting him.
I'm cutting him.
Okay.
All right.
Why are you cutting him?
Huh? Out of those, I don't know if he's going to fit in if they're not playing at a crazy frenetic pace. You know, because Pacers get up and down. Rick Carlisle, this is something new. I've never seen Rick Carlisle coach like this.
Yeah.
He's letting them go.
Yeah, and it's working.
And so I want to see, which, what happens in the playoffs all the time, the game slows down.
Yeah.
And you have to grind it out. And see, that's why I said I like Maxey a lot because, playing for Doc and that's how and with Embiid down there, you can't get up and down like that. So you gotta be able to play off Embiid, and he does well.
Yeah.
And he's a sharpshooter.
Give me the heights for those three guards, right? And so, I like big guards too.
Yep.
I like big guards too because I got to play that space. And just because I didn't even give you this before we started, right? Here are the stats, right?
Okay.
31.5 points, 5.9 rebounds, 6.4 assists, 2.4 steals a game, 27-11 record, tied for
that's SGA.
SGA, tied for number 1 in the West. Halliburton, 23.6. 4.2 boards, 12.5 assists, 1 steal, 23-15 record, 4th in the East. Maxey, 26 points, 3.7 boards, 6.6 assists, 1 steal, 24-13, 3rd in the East. And mind you, I think Embiid has missed the last however many games, and they're still going to fall. And so I'm going to start SGA because SGA 6'6", for one, right? He's 6'6", and not only does he score well, but he does it from all 3 levels. And he does it so well from the mid-range. I know it consistently is going to be like that in the playoffs too, because he also can make sure he gets to the line. It's not somebody that's just relying heavily on the tray ball. And he's 6'6".
Yep.
That size makes a huge difference and stuff with pace and sneaky athleticism. And then I'm bringing Maxey off the bench.
Okay.
Because I like Maxey too. But my only difference is that Maxey it's just the height, because now I can match up. And you got 6'6", and so if I put you in any lineup with anybody, automatically it makes everybody on the wing longer, can match up more.
Maxey's how tall?
6'3".
6'3". All right, but he's big.
But he play big.
Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah.
Right? But when you ask me the question, I'm looking at it as I'm just putting him in the rotation. So my thing, if you ask me who am I putting on the ball, I'm putting SGA.
Yeah.
But if I got a team where I might have a point guard already, I got to go. That's why I picked.
Yeah, but again though, if you already got a point guard, then you would probably bring Tyrese. You could do those two either way. I think with what you just said though, you can play SGA and Tyrese Maxey in either one of those situations.
Yeah,
but I don't know
if Maxey can run I don't know if he's gonna.
He's running the one now. Because think about who's running the run in Philly.
Yeah,
there's not Pat Bev.
Right? But I'm just saying, in terms of some guys are good enough to run the point in short periods. I'm just saying, SGA for sure is an 82 game point guard.
Yeah.
But either way, we kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
And disagree a little bit. That's okay.
I like Halliburton. I think Halliburton is good. He's really good, and I love how he distributes and what he sees and things. But I'm not sure that I can rely on him consistently when, like you said, when the game slows down, because I'm not sure how he'll score.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
And,
And then also, I don't know. I just need to see a little bit more of him. But man, I pray that he's not
hurt. Yeah, it was like a little calf thing, so he'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Man, because that looks scary.
Yeah, especially when it's like that.
Man,
and so
get back soon.
John Morant out for the season after a hot comeback.
Yeah, but you know what that is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
they
shut that shit down.
Shut him down.
Yeah.
We're not making any.
We seen all we needed to see. We know he's still him.
Yeah.
Because Ja came back and he had everybody thinking like, oh shit, Memphis gonna be 8th seed in the West.
Yeah.
Right? And that just speaks to how great he is to be around him. Like, get well soon, my boy.
Yeah.
And you know, I can't, like you said, we're not haters. And so as of today, when I looked, the Clippers are like 17-3 in their last 20. Looking great. Kawhi.
Ty Lue!
Lakers should have hired him when we had the chance. But Ty Lue, man, think about that. We don't have Ty Lue because you didn't want him to pick his staff. Man, that's
ridiculous.
That's crazy. But they're 17-3, moving. They just got a contract extension from Kawhi. Kawhi signed it with a pay cut. So that means they'll have enough money for open up some other things. And so what do we think? Now, for me, because my guy Boz, shout out to Boz, he always sending me this stuff when what's his name, Harden plays well. He said, Uno's out. He got his swag back. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I only reply with one word: playoffs. Playoffs. That's all I need to see is playoffs. What's going to happen in the playoffs? Because that's where the difference is. And so, what do you think? You think they're a championship team this year?
They look like it. And I think with Ty Lue running the show, I think they are, because he's not the type of guy that's going to be afraid to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
You know, he's the guy, he's going to tell those guys, look, I know you're Paul George, and you're you're Kawhi Leonard, you're James Harden, you're Russ, Harden, but Westbrook, but look, you got to give us more. Bump that. You know what I'm saying? You get paid the big bucks. You got the ball in your hands. Look, we got to get it done. Like, there's no coming back. You know what I'm saying? And he's the type of guy that, even though he wasn't, as some of the fans always get on him, like he wasn't a star, Iverson stepped over him. He's got a lot of respect in the league because people respect the grind that he had. You know what I'm saying? To get into the league, and stay that long. You know what I'm saying? And now he's coaching, and he's paid his dues. And he's shown that he's a good coach. And so I think they will listen to him and they'll make a run at it for real. I mean, they look scary.
Yeah. So that leads me to my point, right? The Lake Show, right? As of right now, we like 18-20 maybe. Struggling. Everybody's talking about trades and Levine.
So before you go into that, let's not stray away from the Ty Lue thing.
Yeah.
When people always jump on LeBron about being the general manager, y'all know LeBron wanted Ty Lue as coach.
Yeah.
Y'all, you do know that, right? We got to put that, you know what I'm saying? He would want his guy as coach, and not to say he didn't want Ham, but, and that's another thing. Ham shouldn't be taking the heat he's taking right now either.
Yeah.
Y'all was just talking about how he's the right guy for the job.
Yeah.
Because, he wasn't a star in the NBA, but people respect the grind that he made.
Yeah, so that's what we get to the Lakers, right? We're struggling. Now, getting to the Ham situation, I don't like when coaches get blamed for people not making shots.
Right.
Or people not reaching assignments. So people just watch stuff and people talk about rotation or whatever else. If you watch D'Angelo Russell play, he can't give you anything if he's not scoring. And he'll have games where he missed the entire backboard. And if he's doing that when he's playing, he's throwing the ball all over the place. He's not rebounding. He's not making the extra rotations on defense. And we're having troubles, scoring, but we're also having trouble consistently getting stops and then going down and score. Cam Reddish has his moments where he hits shots and he doesn't, but he's consistent on the ball, right? Vando has problems making shots or whatever else. But again, you guys told us this is the most skilled NBA that we've ever had, that everybody can do so many different things. Why are we blaming? And we started the season off talking about how much depth we have. And we do have. People just got to perform. Gabe Vincent has been hurt. He's not here. But
the one thing that hoopers know is that if you're not making shots, what do? You get into the lab. You gotta put shots up. And with AD and LeBron, these aren't situations where you gotta create your own shot.
Yeah.
You just gotta knock it down when it comes your way.
Yeah.
And that's something, and I like I said, Gilbert was a professional scorer.
Hell yeah.
But the one thing Gilbert did, he put in some work. And if he had a bad shooting night when he played for the Wizards, you knew, he's in the gym the next day putting up shots. And people will know how you know that. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just a situation where the stuff that's happening to the Lakers right now, this is stuff that can be fixed.
Easily. It just, now, where do we go with this conversation? Because we always talk about this, right? And then people probably tired of hearing me talk about the Lakers anyway.
I am.
But I think we'll be fine. Eventually, we'll probably have to be either 5, 6, 7 seed, something like that. Hopefully, we don't have to do the play-in, and so we can get there. But a trade is going to come, most likely, of some sort. Don't know. They talk about Levine. They talk about DeJounte Murray. All these other different people. Something's going to happen. But I like to segue from this into the debate, the great debate right now, right? The one that got Rashad McCants and fighting each other and everybody talking. It's MJ, Kobe, Bron.
Yep.
Why is it that Shaq has been talking about it, but every time you hear players, former NBA players, every time you hear them talk about the GOATs, they talk about Mike and then they talk about Kobe and then Bron. And for a lot of people who don't really watch basketball, didn't watch basketball, Mark Jackson specifically too, because I always remember, Mark Jackson always talked about how he said Kobe was the best player in the world and was maybe better than Jordan. And he was doing that while Kobe was alive, while he was alive. But he was one of those that was always on TV talking about it. For those of you that are saying, hey, nobody talked about Kobe being that good until after he passed, stop being casual.
No.
Hey, you stop that.
If you believe that, that means you really weren't paying attention to the game.
Not at all. It was always a discussion. Because you got people talking about how Kobe was never the best in the league.
Yeah, no.
We'll do that. But you just had Kenyon Martin talk about how within his generation, for the 15 years, Kobe was the best player and nobody argued it, right? But let's talk about why, King. Why do players, they talk about it's only been 5,000 NBA players ever, but why do players versus media always want to make sure people know that, hey, it's Mike, Kobe, then Bron?
Because, again, it's kind of what we talked about with Ty Lue. People respect the grind. Kobe was not considered the best player in the league during his time because of his overall talent. You know what I'm saying? Of course he had bounce. Of course but it was his work ethic, his killer mentality that set him apart from so many different guys. And people that played against Kobe, they saw that every night, and he was a problem. And so people respect that and want to make sure they give him his flowers because, the media sometimes is going to try to brush him aside because, the media sometimes will report on you based on, personal preference.
Yes.
And you know how that goes, man. That same thing with football. Why do you think Terrell Owens, it took so long for him to be in the Hall of Fame? Come on, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, man. But that's the thing. And so now with so many players having their own platform to give their opinions, right? Now the media is being held more accountable because you can't just say anything. We have to run with it now.
Yeah.
Because there's other sources that we can go to and get a firsthand experience of how things actually were. Because you in the media, you didn't play against Kobe.
Man.
You didn't have the game plan for him.
And you don't really understand the craft, right? Like when you talk about people may watch a Michelin star chef in the kitchen. they may watch them cutting up a steak, butterfly or something, but they don't really understand the technique. They just looking at a knife go through something.
Yep.
They don't really understand what's going on for real.
Yep.
And so when somebody looks at the game of basketball and they say like, yo, there ain't basketball players better than Kobe and Mike. They're talking about what it means to be a complete basketball player and not have any deficiency in your game, right? Like perfecting the craft or something. That's different. That's where you look at something that are fine-tuned, like, look at this. Look at the footwork. Look at this. Defensively, everything.
Basically, when it comes down to it, and we game plan for Kobe, right? You know, we ain't talking about MJ. We talking about Kobe right now. What you gonna take away?
Right.
Shit, he can do everything.
Yep.
Perimeter, getting to the rack, mid post, low post. Like he could do anything. He could facilitate, straps up. Like there's nothing he couldn't do, and he did everything well. So that's where people start. That's where the players say like, "Shit, man! Like, what can we do?" You know, we in comparison to LeBron, right? People so often, right, in playoff times, go under screens on LeBron. If LeBron hits, 6 or 7, perimeter jumpers, when you go under screen, they'll live with it because he can't survive with it over a 7-game series. And we've seen that already. You can't do that shit with Kobe. Yeah. And even with Mike, you couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? That's why the players get offended when people skip Kobe in terms of saying, it's automatically LeBron.
Yeah.
Now, you know me, I'm a big LeBron guy.
Yeah.
And I say, in totality, I'd probably take LeBron. But when we talk about like certain aspects of the game, you know what I think about. I think about who's going to close it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go with Kobe on that, just because I know that you get down to it, there's pretty much nothing he can't do.
Yeah. And the stats show that there was nobody better. When it came to that, and so it's just
a dumb debate when you don't mention everybody. That's just bottom line.
Yeah.
And depending on your age, you're gonna say different things. Like I said this about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. If I talk to somebody and they're older than me and they say Wilt or Magic or Dr. J, or Kareem, I'm not pissed because they saw that.
Yeah.
And they see the new guys as well, because once you get to a certain age, you've seen different decades of basketball.
Yeah.
Like, for people think about Doc, what we saw of Dr. J for the Sixers, that was older Doc.
Yeah.
And he still came in and was all-star. You go back and look at what he did in the ABA, and people will say, well, that's not the NBA. Well, that's where all the talent was at the time,
right?
The ABA. And he dominated that shit. And so when people talk about who's the greatest of all time, you got to name all those guys. And if you're gonna mention those, you got to mention that group that I just talked about, because everybody's got a stake on it.
Facts. Facts. And so,
come on, Kobe, that was a killer.
We brought it back with some action for y'all. It's been a while since we've been in here, so we had to get some shit off our chest, man. But it was a great one. So, OG, this is the first post-game wrap-up of the year. What you got in the store?
Man, I'm just trying to keep it moving, man. We finished 23 really strong, in what we're trying to do. And this has been a long journey. You talked about how we fund the podcast ourselves, and it's only 3 of us, 2.5 because Snipes be messing up so much, right?
Yeah.
Right. But we try to do the best that we can, and I think we've been doing a good job. And, with our business, it's been growing, and we had a lot of obstacles with a late start. We had COVID, and it's been a long grind since 2019. But we've been putting in the work and staying positive. And we've been moving forward, and the growth is showing, and we just want to keep growing, man. Keep grinding, and never forget where we came from, how we got here, and don't forget where we're trying to go. That's it, man. Just keep it moving.
Absolutely. Any life that's stagnant is a life that's not worth living.
Yep.
If you don't keep moving, you don't keep progressing, you stay in the same place, you have been passed over, and life is going to continue to go. The world is going to move on without you. Persistence. It's going to be hard. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be some no's. There's going to be some hesitations. Be persistent. Be persistent. Be persistent. That's the difference. You know, you can have, we talked about all those other different things you got to have to be successful, but the persistence, that's probably the hardest one to keep on, because there's going to be days you don't want to do it. It's going to be days where it looks like people don't believe in you, but you know, so you got to have that undying desire to keep going, as you said. So persistence. Persistence. And so BTG Nation, that's our time for today, for tonight. You know what it is. Hoop Mountain Dubai, Hoop Mountain DXB, Hoop Mountain.ae, BTG Nation. You can find us everywhere. Links in the bio and all that good stuff. As always, keep it real, keep it simple, and keep going.
From player and coach to brother, they both got views that you need to discover. From sports, current events to just life talk. Whether you on a fast break or a nice walk, gotta tune in, you already know G. This BTG Nation and you one of the homies. Just tune in, you already know G. BTG Nation, the other ones in the nosebleeds.